Hey, Betty. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, dear. Just the two of us so far.
Oh, good.
Hmm. How you doing overall?
Doing okay. Yeah, no complaints.
Yeah,
Just getting adjusted to a different lifestyle.
it is. It is. It's definitely been, like a whole different thing here with, I don't think I've actually gotten in the car and gone anywhere in almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. I went about 2 weeks and about 3 days, and it was almost like, trying to. After I came back in, I couldn't remember if I locked my car or not. You just get so out
Mhm.
of step with it.
Yeah.
You feel like you have to. Feels funny to drive.
hmm Yeah. Yeah. It felt good to actually get in the car and go somewhere. But yeah, it is. It's kind of unusual because you're just here all the time.
Yeah,
Of course, I'm
yeah.
here. I'm here and working, so I'm busy, and it's not like I don't feel like I have things to do.
Uh
Uh,
huh.
so it may be a little bit differently for me. I mean, I've talked to some people, and they said that they're getting like really bored, like my brother, for example, who has expressed his boredom a
Yeah,
lot.
I'm not bored. I don't know. It just seems like there's still things to do. It's just a different way to do them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, with him, he's kind of binged out on TV, so
Uh,
he's kind of over that now. So, but we'll see.
yeah.
Well, I guess it's about that time, so we're gonna get started, and we have a whole 5 people here now. All right. Hi, everybody. How we doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Okay.
Hi.
Glad to see you. Okay. All right, so this is the second part of the morning class. Okay, this is the share portion. And we went over most of the drawings that had been sent to me, and I haven't gotten any new ones that I know of.
I sent you one of colored pencil, watercolor pencil that I painted over. Did you get that?
Yeah, I did. Okay, I remember that.
Yeah, I did the shadowing and pen. I only had watercolor pencil, so I just did it with watercolor pencil, the
Watercolor
shading.
pencils, right?
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
And
saw.
I sent some dogs too.
Oh, did you? You mean
Yeah,
between this morning and now?
yeah, yeah. About somewhere 12:15.
Okay, let me see if I can get those. Doo-doo. Betty Bates. Okay. All right, so yeah, there's the dog.
My subject matter was, I think, something like Friday drawing class.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. Well. All right. We'll go with those. Okay. Right now. Okay, so let's get back to, there we go. Okay. Yeah, hard navigating around here when you've got like multiple things open all at once. Anyhow, so yeah, I'll start showing some stuff, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay. Hey, Eloise, how you doing? Okay, so since you sent those, Betty, let's open one of those up. Okay.
That's cool.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about this one, Betty.
Well, all the dog pictures I sent were from photographs. I don't have a dog, but I
Mhm.
love dogs. And my granddaughter is in has a greeting card business where she makes greeting cards. Most of them are three-dimensional pop-up types, but she was working on a project to possibly go into making stamps of dogs. So I
Mhm.
started drawing dogs for her and really got into it. It was just a lot of fun, and I enjoyed doing it. So I said, whether you use them or not, it's okay, because I
Yeah.
just enjoy doing them.
Now, were these recent, or is this over a
Yeah,
longer period of time?
yeah, I did all of those within the last few months. I think
Okay.
in less than a year.
Okay. All right. And I just opened up like two of them.
Mhm.
Because you sent a German Shepherd and you sent this.
Yeah, I sent a separate email for a German Shepherd it was a little more finished drawing. That one I did for my grandson. It's his dog, so he wanted me to do a picture of his dog.
Okay. Yeah. But I noticed, when I opened up that email that you had like at least 5 or 6 different images.
Yeah, there were a bunch of them in the first email, the one with this one.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So this was done with graphite.
Just graphite. Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's got a nice expression to it and pretty nice feel. You haven't overstated like the dark in the nose and stuff like that, so you still see a lot of the form. And yeah, I think you did a good job on that. Okay. Anybody got any comments about that? No? Okay. Moving on. And then this, oh, screen sharing stops. All right, let's go to the next one. I thought since it was up, it might continue, but I guess not. Okay, and then this was a German Shepherd.
Yes.
And he looks like kind of a young guy.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think he was only a little over a year old when that picture was taken of him.
yeah, because his ears are like so big in comparison
Uh-huh.
to his head.
Yeah.
Right? And that kind of happens when they're younger, and then their heads keep growing, and eventually it ends up a little more balanced. Okay, I like the composition on this one, and kind of the feel of it, just sort of the emotional feel of it, a lot better than I did the first one.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, you did a nice job on that.
Good job, Betty. I love them both.
Thank you.
That dog looks happy.
Yeah, I
He's
don't
a
know.
happy dog.
Yeah, he looked contemplative actually to me.
He looks very wise.
So yeah, there's something in the expression on his face. It's he looks very kind of calm, So that's a nice drawing. All right. Let's see what else. Now I don't have. Oh, I wanted to. For those, does everybody have my email now?
I do.
Okay. All right. So we don't need that. Okay. So I'll go ahead and close that.
I turn my picture on.
I'm sorry.
How do I turn my face on? Because I see you two ladies.
Oh, Rebecca? Yeah, if you look in the lower left-hand corner
Yes.
of the screen, there should be a microphone and there should be a video camera. If the video camera has got a kind of a red thing,
I got it.
then it's
I got
on.
it. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, that turns it on. Okay.
Hi, ladies.
Sure. Okay. All right. So, like I said, I didn't get a lot of drawings from you guys other than the ones that I showed this morning. But I did want to share with you, I pulled some images off of a website. It's called the Art Renewal Center.
Okay.
And I just kind of wanted to run through these and have you look at them. They had they have several competitions every year. And this one was the more recent, and I think it ended in like January or February. But there's, I got about 30 or 40 images that I wanted to run through. And I just wanted, people to kind of react to them, respond to them, like them, don't like them. If you do like them, what is it that you like about them? Okay. Because again, this is kind of an open conversation, so don't feel like you can't say anything. So just, if you have something to say, unmute yourself. If you're just looking, then keep it muted so we don't get a lot of background noise, okay? So I'm gonna open those up. There we go. Okay, can everybody see this?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Now, I've got a little bit of information on these paintings and who did them, but this is actually an oil painting, and it was done by an Asian artist. Let's see, who was that? Well, no, it's Phil Couture is the guy's name. And if you look at the size of it, it's like 23.5 by 15.5. It's not a real large painting. But the thing, that I really like about it is just sort of the feel of it. The composition bothers me a little bit on this one though, because it's cropped so tightly. And I'd really like to see it, with maybe a little more air around it, a little more space. Anybody got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think it would,
Go ahead.
I think it would be better with more space around it. It looks kind of, especially with the angle of the tilt of her head, I mean, it just looks like she's tightly bound in there or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It almost looks like it's part of something, not the complete.
Right. Yeah. And I kind of wonder whether, this is like a really cropped in version or something of it. But as it is, it's beautifully done. But, the way it sits on the page is kind of awkward to me. Now, I've got another painting here. And again, it's a really nicely done painting. But again, the composition on this really kind of bothers me. Again, because if you look at the direction that she's looking toward, right, which is to our right, and then you really look at the space, and she's actually toward the right of the canvas, and there's some kind of tension or something going on there. It's like, I'd really like, again, more space to the right of this, and, maybe like to see, the elbow finished off and just a little more air over there so that as she's looking, it's like you give her some space to look into. And let's see, Nikita Budkov. And this is a fairly large painting. It's a 30 by 40, and it's oil on panel. So, I think she could have done more with this. I mean, there's nice elements and everything in it. It just feels kind of, again, pushed up against that edge. Anybody got anything to say about that?
I think the thing that kind of makes me, I mean, with the flowers and the position of her hands, it looks so delicate and so nice, and yet her face is kind of stern. It doesn't really match to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like she should have a softer, more gentle face or expression or something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got anything to say about it?
I think that they got the color of her hair beautifully. And your eye immediately goes to that part of the painting because it's lighter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, all of the painting and even like the rendering of the skin tones, things like that, are really, really nicely done. You know, for me, it's kind of the composition in this just doesn't, it's not that strong. So, okay, so here's a drawing. Now it's a male figure, and let's see who did this. Paul LaRoche, and it's a big drawing. It's 65 1/4 by 34 3/4.
Wow.
So that's a really
Life size. It's life size.
almost.
Yeah.
It's close.
And it looks almost like a photograph.
It does.
Also too.
It
That's
does.
the
Yeah.
first thing I thought.
Yeah. I think when you take something that big though and reduce it down, you know, on a screen like this, it really tightens it up quite a bit. But I really kind of liked this drawing. You know, just because of the way that they handled the light and the form, and it's got really nice contrast in it. And actually, the composition in this is really far better than any of the two previous paintings that we saw. You know,
Is that a painting or a drawing, Charles?
it's a drawing. So it was done in I think they said that it was charcoal, and it's, you know, it's a good sized drawing. So, but you know, really nicely handled. And of course, I think, you know, if this were bigger, you know, and we could zoom in on it and really take a look at it, it's probably not as photographic and probably not as tight when you get it blown up as it may appear, you know, because we're looking at the whole drawing further back. Anybody got any comments about that?
I wish that there were just a little more light on the right-hand side of the body.
Mm.
The leg kind of disappears. I can't see the top of it.
Yeah, it does, and I think that was kind of intentional. You know, that you
Right.
just kind of lose him into the shadows.
Okay.
I mean, in looking at it, I can still see the outline of the leg pretty clearly. I do lose the foot, but it's hard. It's hard to see. So, moving on. Yeah. Now, this particular piece I really liked. You know, I thought it was beautifully painted, and actually the composition and things on this I really like a lot. And I thought it was probably one of the stronger pieces that I saw, you know, from what they had presented. And you know, it's interesting. You know, you see the full face in the shadow, and it's, you know, still you very clearly see her face and all of her features and get I think a good sense of who she is. And then the figure that's in the light is the one that's sort of turned away from you, and you're kind of getting this back view of her. So,
Are they twins or is it the same girl?
no, they're different girls.
Okay.
Yeah, just two different models. Let's see, what does it say? Helios passing. So in other words, the sun is passing. This is a 40 by 40 inch painting by a lady by the name of Melissa Cooper. And it's an oil on linen. So yeah, it's a nicely done painting.
It's
Okay.
very creative, just a very nice, the whole concept of it, who would think to do instead of doing two separate images or putting them side to side or however you normally see them. I think it's very creative.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the composition in it. You know, I particularly like the fact that you've generally got these two figures go back to the whole painting. You've generally got these two figures, and they tend to be the darker shaped objects in the painting, and the foreground tends to be kind of a middle dark, with the background actually being fairly light overall, and just the contrast between them is really, really nicely, and the handling of the light I thought was done really, really well. I thought that this particular piece was really beautifully done as well. And again, you know, the composition in it, I thought worked really, really well. In looking at it, and let's see. Okay, so it's an oil, and again, it's a large piece. It's 54 inches by 36 inches. So, you know, it's not a small painting by any means. But, you know, I guess the thing that kind of appeals to me is if I look at how the artist handled the skin tones and the face, and how blended and how smooth all of that is and finished, and then you move away from that and it becomes a very painterly surface. And so it's really a nice contrast, you know, between the two areas. And it really helps you focus just on her face. And as far as the placement, she's not quite centered, you know, she's close, but also you sort of get the impression, I guess, that she's sort of looking a little bit downward and to her right. And it feels like, you know, because of where she is, there's still a little more space over here. So she's got, you know, she's looking in that direction, and it gives you space and air around the figure. So it doesn't feel like it's really, really tightly cropped.
This one seems to have the most so far attention to movement and detail, because everything's makes your eye moving it always back to the face.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the background has so many different areas. I mean, the different colors and different splotches, but it all works together beautifully. And I think the red in her hair kind of carries down diagonally down into the red in the background underneath her back.
Yeah, right here.
It just, yeah, it all just really works beautifully together.
Yeah, it's a nice composition. It's nicely painted, and again, you know, the thing I like is really the contrast between, you know, the way that they treated the paint surfaces, the paint, you know, the face and the clothing around her face being so finished, and then the painting getting very, very abstracted, very loose as you move away from it, and really a nice control of color as well. You know, the background being, you know, really very neutral, kind of muted, and then the colors around the face being more intense, but not nearly as intense as, say, like the flowers right here, which really are the brightest, most pure color in the whole piece. So.
Charles, can I ask a question? Do you think that she is in an area of the country that's mountainous? Is that a mountain in the back? And is it a dream sequence? Is she dreaming about something and the moon's out and the mountains in the background?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking it's more of a dreamlike
Right.
image.
Yeah.
Whether the artist lives, you know, in a mountainous area or not, I really don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, these images were submitted by artists, really, a lot of them from North America, but, you know, it's open to anybody in the world.
Wow.
So there are artists from Asia, Europe, North America, you know, in all of these. Let's see.
I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this word correctly. Chiaroscuro. Is
Chiaroscuro?
that painting? Oh, what?
No, it's
And the other one before it, are those examples of that or not?
yeah. Now, actually, the one right there, now that would be more chiaroscuro.
Chiaroscuro, okay.
Yeah, where if you look at the paintings of like Caravaggio, are you familiar with him?
Yes.
Different subjects and things, but the feel of the painting and the contrast, the bright light, the deep shadows are more like this painting than they are the one that we were just looking at.
Mhm.
So let's see. Okay. Well, a bit of a morbid subject, but now this is actually a drawing. And let's see what they say about this. It's a 15 by 35. It's graphite pencil on a gessoed maple panel. Okay, so it's on a wooden panel, and the artist, put several cuts of gesso on it and probably sanded it back a bit, so he's got a fairly smooth surface. And then he worked with graphite on top of that. And there's the image. I'm going to blow it up a little bit, see. If you look at it, there's how he laid the tone in there. There seemed to be, a fair amount of cross-hatching, working, kind of very directionally with the pencil. But, nice, really, really nice handling of the change in value. If you look here, in just this one area, and look at the range of value, the really strong darks, really strong lights, and then several steps in between, to begin to render the form of those birds and that elephant.
Hmm.
And you can see how he used the side of the pencil, not holding it like a pen
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to get that effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm wondering, in looking at it, and particularly like down here in the shadows, like in this area, how much of that is the texture of the surface, the gesso that he laid in, because you can begin to pick up a little bit of that here in the background as well. You have areas that seem really lineal and looks like he was doing more like cross-hatching. And then you have these areas that it feels more like the ridges of the paint, picking up the graphite. But that's something you guys, since we're talking about drawings, you might try. You might try, if you have acrylic paint at home, putting it on a harder like board or surface and building it up a little bit and then sanding it back and then drawing on top of that. Probably make a really nice surface, to actually work on. Here is a painting I was fairly impressed with. I just kind of I like the composition, but there's something, again, it's kind of like a dreamlike painting. If you look at the background and how the color is handled, and then the tree itself isn't really, it's a tree, but it's not really a tree when you begin to look at the bark, how sort of abstract, and how there's these transitions and different shapes, in the surface of all of that. Blow some of that up.
Wow. Huh. Oh, wow.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
very interesting.
you know, it's you know, it's a tree, but it's not a tree. So
Yes.
yeah, but then she handled, the figures, really, really delicately and really nicely, um, and just really nice sense of light and shadow on all of these.
I wonder how long it would take to do a painting like that.
I'm imagining a while.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
looks like forever.
yeah, I'm sure. And the thing is, this is not a particularly large painting. This is 36 by 24 inches. 24 by 36. What is going on? Ah, what are they doing with me here? Anyway, it's a 24 by 36, and it's oil on a wooden panel again, and it looks like, and particularly like the background was probably painted toward the end of the painting, and that to me is kind of the thing that I'm kind of most amazed at is that they could be that loose with the paint and get that really loose effect and keep those figures as tight as they did and clean without messing them up. And then of course, then the surface of the trees, there's so much work in there. It's really, really intricate, fine work. So so far out of all of them, that's kind of the one that I'm most impressed with, I guess. Um, here's a Now this is like a wildlife,
Oh, huh.
and beautiful painting. And again, you begin to look at these surfaces, and this guy really handled all of those surfaces really, really adeptly and really nicely. And I'll blow this up. And you begin to look at, the texture, here in the feathers and how the colors gradate and change. The same is pretty true with the wood itself and the stone.
Hmm.
And then you get these ivy leaves up here. And he didn't just paint them in as flat green shapes. I mean, he really took the time, with almost each and every one of them to really render them and give them some shape and form. And again, I don't think this is a real large painting. Well, it's a 30 by 30, okay? And it's a woman, it's Camille Engel. But yeah, it's a really impressive painting. We're running out of time, it says. I don't know. I don't want to talk about that one so much. I wanted to talk about this one. Now, it's fairly simple, but yet at the same time, if you look at the sort of the quality and the color of the skin tones and how they change, from the brighter light hitting the top of her head and then how the light falls off as it moves around and down the face. And then the same thing is true, with the hand and moving down the arm. I thought that this was really, really probably one of the nicer paintings that I saw in that collection, and really, really strong. I'm going to run through a couple more here real quick, just so that you get a chance to see them. Now, you know, that we got a still life. And much like the owl, it's like this is, you know, there's a lot of really, really beautifully rendered, you know, paint surface there. But I think that this person controlled where he wanted you to look and keeping the focus really tight right in here around the roses. It's just like this is the focal point of the painting. And then as you move out and away from it in every direction, everything begins to get a little bit softer so your eye knows exactly where to go. Let's see what else we have here.
These make you want to go hang up your brushes.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's not the intent. The intent is to actually make you want to go get your brushes out, you know, and
Another 50 years and we'll have it.
well, you know, I don't think so. You know, I think probably a lot sooner than 50 years, you know. Like anything else, it's like the more you do it, you know, the better you're going to, you know, get at it. But, you know, I thought this was a really nicely done piece. This is, you know, a close-up on this larger painting right here. And again, you know, it's kind of that same device, you know, all of this is a little more loosely painted out here. And then, you know, as you get to the focal point of the painting, everything gets a lot cleaner and sharper and tighter. And that, you know, that works in paintings, it works in drawings, just about anything you're doing. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to show you guys this. Yeah.
Oh my. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of a wow. You know, just, you know, tons and tons of color. And this is the whole painting, you know.
Oh my goodness, look at the water.
Yeah. Yeah. And
That's fab.
yeah,
I love that.
I love the way that they use the composition in this to draw your eye back to like this red tree. And then from there you move, you know, you move back here to the tree and then you move up, you know, and into this area and then back down. And compositionally, you know, you look at the subject and you go, okay, it's trees, right? Big deal. But then you look at the composition and how, you know, he kept your eye moving, and he's giving you lots of stuff all along the way to sort of look at and get kind of caught up in. Just the color, the surface, the application of the paint.
What size is that one?
This one is not large. It's only 19.5 by 27 inches. So it's actually one of the smaller paintings that we've looked at today. And it's oil on canvas and entitled Fantasy. And it would be, it is kind of like a very fanciful, you know, landscape. There's a detail of that tree and, you know, the water and things around it. And again, it's really beautifully done. So we have, again, less than a minute. So I want to say my goodbyes before this rudely cuts us off and makes us go away. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll be back on Monday morning at 11 o'clock for the art inspiration, and then we'll have the art share in the afternoon. So if you have anything that you want to share, whether it's your recipe for deviled eggs or a new painting that you're working on, you know, maybe you're creatively mending your socks. I don't know. You know, that would be a great place to share it. Okay.
Great.
Thank you very much.
All right. So you guys take
Thank
care.
you.
Stay well. Stay in. Okay.
Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
We got 8. All right. Hey, Carrie.
Hi, Charles.
How you doing, sweetie?
Very well. How are you?
I'm good, dear. I'm good. I'm glad you made it today.
Yes.
So, I don't know what I just did. Okay. Anyhow, are you doing well?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All
Are
right.
you?
Yeah, we're hanging in here, working every day. So, hopefully we'll be out of this